Far away from any extended family and having escaped an abusive marriage, Maria and her 2 young children were living in a room in a building in downtown Harrisonburg. I'd driven past the building before and would have never guessed it was occupied. The family's mattresses were on the floor and got wet when it rained. Her young son had to catch the bus on his own to get to school, while she walked across town to get her toddler into the only childcare she could afford from her minimum wage job. Her son's school counselor referred the family to Bridge of Hope, and by that Christmas, the family was living in a 2-story apartment with warm, dry beds, hot water, and privacy. An amazing group of neighboring volunteers came around this family, celebrating, loving, and supporting them. Bridge of Hope's rental assistance program kept the family secure, even when Maria was furloughed from her hotel cleaning job due to COVID-19. Maria eventually had the opportunity to move across country to be closer with family. She exited the program with a stable plan in place. Deanna was living with her 3 children in her mother's apartment. Separated from her husband, she was unable to pay her bills and accrued debt on top of her student loans. Her mother was at risk of being evicted for violating her lease to keep her daughter and grandchildren out of homelessness. Deanna contacted Bridge of Hope, and a private landlord was willing to give her the opportunity she needed. Rental assistance allowed Deanna to consolidate debt, file for bankruptcy, change jobs, and apply for career training. Her neighboring volunteers gathered on her lawn, dropped food off at her door, texted her, and prayed for her, neighboring throughout social distancing. Deanna is on top of every aspect of her life now, and she is beginning to thrive and will soon become a Bridge of Hope graduate. Amanda was working hard at her job to provide a safe home for her and her daughter. She was barely able to make ends meet, and unreliable transportation was making things much worse. Being a hard worker, she got a raise at work, but the raise meant she made too much to qualify for her childcare subsidy. The new amount would mean living beyond her means and putting her and her daughter at risk of homelessness. She recently contacted Bridge of Hope and was able to receive rental assistance to prevent homelessness. She is receiving vital case management, connecting her to resources she needs to meet the goals that she has set to become financially stable and get the medical care her daughter needs to thrive as well. Neighboring volunteers are building relationships with her and praying for her family. She is also receiving a donated vehicle that will allow her to make it to work, childcare, and medical visits to Charlottesville. We are excited to see what else God has in store for Amanda and her daughter. Each of these families has a very unique story, but a common thread. The thread is that these single mothers showed up strong and resilient and gave their best each day to care for their families, and it wasn't enough. That's because no one can make it alone, and they shouldn't have to. Jesus' call to love our neighbors reminds us that we are all connected. Bridge of Hope partners with local churches for this reason. Churches not only provide financial support to keep the program going, but they also provide neighboring volunteers, small groups of 4 to 10 individuals whose hearts have been stirred by God's Spirit and who have the capacity to walk with a family through the program. In 2020, in the midst of a pandemic, we doubled our staff to expand our capacity to serve more families. Loving our neighbors was never canceled, it just got more creative. God continued to stir people's hearts, even through social distancing, and we can testify that your congregation's support of Bridge of Hope continued to build God's kingdom in Harrisonburg and Rockingham County, one heart, one group, one congregation, one family at a time, stepping forward and investing in hope. I am here to say thank you. This was possible because of you. Thank you for being a church invested in following Jesus and loving your neighbors. We are looking for more neighboring groups to come alongside families like Maria's, Deanna's, and Amanda's. We provide training and support as well as ensuring that it can be carried out safely for all involved. If you are interested in learning more about these opportunities, please contact me, Chris Hoover Seidel, at Bridge of Hope, Harrisonburg-Rockingham, and I will be happy to follow up with you. May God bless you and your congregation, and may the hope and the light of Easter shine more brightly through the stories of these families that I've shared with you today. Thank you.